You ever just get that feeling that something is off? You know, this sense that all these different pressures are building up all around the world, whether it's the price of your groceries or just the crazy headlines you see every day. Well, you're not alone. And it's really hard to see the full picture when you're right in the middle of it. So today, let's try to connect the dots.
Let's just start with one single staggering number: $2 trillion. That's the estimated economic hit from extreme weather events over just the last 10 years. This isn't some future prediction, right? This is the price we're already paying for our changing climate.
And that really gets us to the core idea for this whole explainer, the perfect storm. Now, the really crucial thing to get here is that these global crises, they're not just happening side by side. Nope, they are like these huge separate waves, and they're starting to crash into each other, creating these compounding effects that are way, way more dangerous than any single wave could be on its own. So, to really get a handle on this, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we're going to look at the quiet signs of the storm that's been gathering. Then, we'll dive into the three massive waves that are hitting us: climate disruption, technological upheaval, and a deep social fracture. And then, finally, we'll look at what happens when they all collide. You know, when a nation or a system starts to fail, it's almost never this big, sudden event you see in movies. History shows us it's usually more like a slow decline. It just kind of seeps into daily life, this gradual wearing away of stability that feels almost normal, until one day, it isn't. And I bet you'll already feel this. It's the stubborn price of food at the supermarket. It's the political gridlock we see over everything. And it's that nagging feeling that the systems we all depend on are just getting more and more fragile. It's this loss of trust that kind of sets the stage for the storm to come. And that stress on the system, it's being cranked up to 11 by our first major wave, climate disruption. And listen, this isn't just about it getting hotter. This is about direct economic shocks that are starting to ripple through our global systems right now. And this isn't some abstract global average. This is happening right now in our backyard. This data shows that just one extra month of extreme drought out in the western US causes huge drops in production for key crops like corn and wheat. It's a straight line from a climate event to a supply chain problem, making our food supply way more volatile and, you guessed it, more expensive. And this is what it looks like in the real world. This isn't a computer model. It's a flooded field over in the UK, where the wettest 18 months on record caused vegetable production to fall by almost 5%. This is exactly how extreme weather turns into supply shocks and higher prices for all of us at the grocery store. But for smaller, more vulnerable countries, the impact can be, well, just absolutely catastrophic. I mean, look at Dominica. The economic cost of Hurricane Maria back in 2017 was more than 300% of the country's entire annual economic output. A single weather event can literally erase decades of development. That just shows you the sheer scale of this threat. Okay, so as we're trying to grapple with these supply shocks from the climate, a second massive wave is building, and that's technological upheaval, driven by the incredible exponential advance of artificial intelligence. And this has the potential to fundamentally reshape our entire economy. This quote from an AI safety researcher, Dr. Roman Yampolsky, is pretty jarring, but you have to hear it because it really captures the potential scale of this disruption. He's not talking about automating a few jobs here and there. He's talking about the very real possibility of automating, well, almost everything. So the key thing to understand here is the difference between AI as a tool, which is kind of what we have now, and AI as an autonomous agent. See, a tool, like a hammer, needs a person to operate it, but an agent, it makes its own decisions. As some experts have put it, this coming superintelligence isn't just another invention. It might be the last invention we ever have to make, because it will be able to invent things all by itself. And this is where that compounding effect kicks in again. Just imagine AI automates, say, an initial 25% of jobs. That would lead to a massive drop in consumer spending, right? Well, when people stop buying things, businesses start to fail, which then leads to, you got it, even more unemployment. It creates this vicious downward spiral, a demand collapse that could absolutely cripple the economy. So we've got supply shocks from the climate and potential demand shocks from AI. This third wave is the one that really weakens our ability to respond to either of them. It's social fracture. This is all about the erosion of trust and cooperation that we desperately need to navigate this storm. Just look at this. Public trust in our key institutions is at a historic low. Only 1 in 5 Americans consistently trust the government. I mean, just think about that for a second. When 80% of the population lacks faith in the very institution that's supposed to solve huge problems, how can we possibly face these other waves? And this loss of trust isn't some abstract idea. It completely paralyzes our politics, right? It turns opponents into enemies and makes compromise basically impossible. Our communities feel weaker, leaving people more and more isolated. And this fracture doesn't stop at our borders. It fuels tension all over the world, making the global cooperation we need seem further away than ever. Okay, so now we get to the absolute heart of it. These 3 powerful waves, climate disruption, technological upheaval, and social fracture, they aren't just happening at the same time. They are colliding, they're interacting, and they are creating these compounding exponential risks.
This is the perfect storm. Climate change creates scarcity, which drives up prices. At the exact same time, AI threatens a massive demand collapse from unemployment. And all of this is amplified by staggering government debt that limits our options and rising geopolitical conflict that's breaking the world into pieces. And the whole time, our hands are tied by the political gridlock that prevents any real solution. Each crisis is just making the others worse.
So, what does the future actually look like? Well, in the near term, say the next couple of years, we can probably expect these trends to speed up. More inflation from supply chain and global shocks, the first big waves of AI job losses, and even deeper political gridlock. Looking further out, a lot of experts are predicting the arrival of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, right around 2026. That could trigger widespread unemployment, expose some deep fragility in our essential systems, and force some massive society-wide debates about things like universal basic income.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really critical question. As these big, complex systems that we've always relied on become more and more fragile and unpredictable, it kind of forces us to reconsider everything. It really makes you wonder, in the face of a storm like this, where does real, lasting resilience truly lie?